All right, so I'm going to talk about the 3 levels of expressiveness. I'm going to go over what they are and basically the eventual endpoint you want to get to where you actually are confident internally, you are expressive, you don't have a lot of anxiety, maybe you have imposter syndrome, all that other stuff. Kind of the path forward. This isn't like a hack. This isn't like do this and it happens instantly. This is just kind of explaining everything and a path to get to that point. So top level, so there's words / actions, there's tone and the way you say something, and then there's your core. Also, you can think of it as the what, the how, and the where or the who. The what being what you're actually saying, like just the information. How, your tonality, like how it's coming across, the words you say. And then where it's coming from internally, or who you are as a person when you say it. All right, so the first one, words, it's the easiest to fake, okay? Words are the least trustworthy way of communicating because you can literally say any word at any time. I could tell you that there's a fucking dragon outside. I could tell you that there's a freaking comet heading toward Earth, and it could all be complete lies. So humans have gotten really good at picking up other little context clues, like, well, how have they acted in the past, and like what's their little micro expressions, and how is their body? Because to a certain degree, who you are at your core, always to a certain degree, you can hide it a little bit, but it always to a certain degree comes out in, at the very least, your tone, and a lot of times the actual words that you say. All right? So, easiest to fake, not trustworthy. This is a big reason why pickup lines don't work. If you say, well, what's a line I can say, or what's a thing I can do, blah, 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 whatever, it's a good starting point because that's kind of how you have to convey the information. But 2 different people can say the same sentence, and it comes across completely differently in the tone. All right? So one example of that would be, common, like beginner level social anxiety exercise. This is a common one that I give to clients just to get them up to the point to where they can actually approach, is asking for directions. All right? So let's say you're going up to someone and you're saying, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? A guy who is kind of not confident, he's anxious, he doesn't know if he's really allowed to do it, he just feels weird about it. He'll go up to a girl and be like, excuse me, do you know where the Macy's is? That upward tonality, that's like a common vocal tone thing that people talk about, have neutral tonality and all that stuff. That's because when you have the upward tonality, it's not a rapport-seeking behavior, but it's like, it just showcases that you are not confident in what you're saying. You feel like there's a value differential between you and the other person. You're not allowed to do it. This happens in literally pretty much all animals. So if you look at like dogs, when they're aggressive and they're confident, they're like, it's like a loud bark. It's like, whoo, whoo, whoo. But if a dog's like getting hurt or he's kind of submissive, they'll do the whoo, whoo, whoo. It's not just humans. It's like a mammal thing. So people focus on the actual words kind of the least. The next thing that they focus on is the tone. Like they actually focus on that more because that's a lot more difficult to fake. You can fake tone to a certain degree, but you will never have it be congruent fully with who you actually are as a person. So let's say that a person is who they actually are. Deep down, they feel 60% confident. They might be able to fake a little bit, okay? They might be able to fake a little bit and come across as 80% confident, but they'll never be able to come across as 100% confident, all right? You can only fake to a certain degree. People will just pick up, I can't even explain it, like people will just pick up that you're not actually that thing, okay? So it's more trustworthy than words, but not as trustworthy as just all these little tiny things. I literally, like I said, I can't even explain it. It's more trustworthy than words, but it's not as trustworthy as just you actually being that person, okay? So tone and even the way you perform certain actions, that's a modifier of the word's meanings. Just like I said, earlier about when you're asking where the Macy's is, the tone of an unconfident person, let me back up. The actual words you're saying are, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? Unconfident person, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? A person who's just confident, secure, hey, excuse me, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? Like just neutral tonality. The words are the same, okay? The tone changes the meaning. The tone of the first one is, please, maybe, if you have time, I'm not that important, but The second one is, it's almost like you're telling them to tell you where the Macy's is. It's almost not even a question. That's like a vocal tone exercise that I give some clients where I call it telling the question, where you say a question as if it's a statement. So it's not, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? It's, hey, do you know where the Macy's is? The words are, do you know where the Macy's is? The kind of connotation is, hey, fucking tell me where the Macy's is. Right now, bitch. No, I'm just fucking around. So, tone. So words are a good starting point because obviously that's how you have to talk to people. And then artificially changing the tone of how you speak, that's like good training wheels to start to get to the point to where you're more confident. So your body kind of has, I guess, kind of like a feedback loop. Like your internal and your external, they take feedback from each other. So if you internally think you are more confident, or you just feel more confident or more competent at something, you will naturally act in a more confident way. But the reverse is also true. If you start to artificially do and say things that come across more confident, kind of internally, you'll take feedback from that, and your brain will just kind of say, shit, I guess I'm confident. Now that's not like a hack. It's not like something like you can just say one sentence one time confidently and now all of a sudden your brain thinks it. It's like a progressive process. But if you do that long enough over a period of time, your brain will just kind of say, dang, I guess I'm confident, okay? You do that long enough, okay, your internal getting feedback from the external, like what you actually do, like the tone you're using, and then combined with the feedback that you get from the world, both positive and negative, those experiences will start to change your core of who you are as a person. So you say the words in a specific way. At first it's artificial, okay? But all the feedback and everything you get starts to change who you are deep down to a certain degree. So let's say you go from 50% confidence to 60% confidence, okay? Well, so now that you're a little more confident, your tone will naturally come across more confidently without you having to try. And then that'll come across in the words that you say. And then it's basically like, it's literally just like a loop. So say the words in a specific way. Over a period of time, you will actually start to feel more of that thing. And then that will come across in how you say things and even what you say. And then you'll get more feedback, more positive reinforcement for that thing, and that'll go down the chain, and that will start to more progressively change who you are as a person. And you just keep going until you're fucking Superman. So your core is like, it's your core. It's nobody else sees it, only you're aware of it. It's like the deep, deep things that, and sometimes you're not even necessarily aware of it. It's your actual beliefs about the world, other people, yourself. Okay? Only you know how confident you actually really are about a thing. Only you know your true, real feelings about a thing. Okay? So it's your beliefs about things, your values, kind of the things that they kind of can't be changed to a certain degree, or they can't be changed easily, I should say. So your core is, I put borderline impossible, but it might as well fucking be impossible, all right? The reason why you can't fake it is because it's internal. You would only be faking to yourself. And it's actually really hard to fake things truly 100% to yourself, because to a certain degree, you really know yourself. Like you're just usually aware of those feelings. So your core is the base that everyone acts from, whether they know it or not, okay? Most people, like when they're doing pickup or game or whatever you want to freaking call it, they only ever focus on these. They focus on the lines and the structure and the outline they have in their head and the strategies and tactics and all that shit. And then they focus on like how they say something or how they do something. And again, to a certain degree, that can change your core, but there is a certain level of active core changing that you have to do. Examining your beliefs. Why do you think a thing? Is a thing that I think still even true? Stuff like that, okay? This core, when a girl is shit testing, this core, who you actually are, is what they're testing for. Because girls are always looking for, I call it HIV, honest indicators of value. Yes, I thought that was fairly clever. So when guys even have the mindset of, well, when she says this, say this to pass it, or have it come across in this way. Sometimes that can work, but this isn't what they're testing for. They're not testing for your words or not even that much how you're saying it. They're testing to see what you actually are, who you actually are, what you're actually like, because they need, back in the caveman days, if they were potentially going to get impregnated by you, they needed to know that you actually had good genes, you actually could provide for them and provision for them, like it was an actual thing. So they need to know who you actually are. So when girls are shit testing you, this is what they're testing for, which is why if you only focus on these two, strategies and all that stuff, or doing little vocal tone things, or these very, very specific ways that people have of passing tests, you'll never be able to pass all tests. And you'll always kind of feel some anxiety when it happens because you secretly know that your core isn't actually that thing. This is why I say that now I don't even look for shit tests anymore. They just pretty much just don't exist because I just do and say what I want. So my core is do and say what I want. So the girl's gonna test for that. So as long as I just do and say what I want in response to what she says, I pass the shit test. There's no way I couldn't pass it. And side note, how you kind of want to think about it is, so there's shit tests. There's kind of like a meta shit test of even falling into the frame of thinking that you need to pass a girl's shit test to her liking is itself a shit test. If you even buy into the frame that you need to pass shit tests to the girl's liking, you are still existing within her frame. So you did not pass the meta shit test. To give you an idea of, in reality, like how well it works to try and fake all this stuff, imagine if you try to do that with other normal emotions like anger or happiness, okay? If you're actually angry, like you're just pissed off, you're just annoyed, okay? That's your core at that time. Okay, I'm pissed off. And that will come across in your tone and just the way you do things. You can hide it a little bit, but it'll always come across, it'll just come out in little ways. People will just pick up on it. So let's say you're like 80% pissed. You can hide it a little bit, maybe you're down to 40 or 50%, but it'll still come out a little bit. Maybe other people will see you and they won't know that you're super seething, like absolutely pissed, but they'll be like, man, he just seems in a bad mood. He's annoyed by something, okay? And then the actual things you do and the words you say, you will just say things that are more in line with a person who's annoyed or a person who's angry, just naturally, okay? Same thing with happiness. Like if you're really excited about something, that's why like it's good to have like a poker face, in poker. Like you have to learn how to like control your emotions so that it comes across a certain way. So if you're really happy about something, 80% happy, you could try and kind of, hide it. Like maybe you don't want to be all fucking bouncy and happy-go-lucky and shit, but people still kind of see that, man, he just seems in kind of a good mood today. There's like a spring in his step, and that'll come across in the actions you do and the words you say. So when it comes to like coming across as confident, all right? And people think, or they'll say, how do I come across confidently? How do I blah, blah, blah? Okay, you just actually have to be that thing, all right? When you are actually angry, let's say you're actually angry and you want to like express that anger, or you kind of like, you are fine if people see that you're angry. You don't have to think about how do I structure things so that people know I'm angry. No, you just are angry, and so people are just going to see that you're angry, even if you kind of try to hide it a little bit. Same thing with happiness. Like, if you're happy, you don't need to think about, well, I'm happy, I'm 80% happy. I want to portray that I'm 80% happy. How do I do that? No, you just will just act happy because you actually are that thing. So when you are actually confident, you don't need strategies of like vocal tonality and words to say, because every single thing you do will just come across confident. Like, it just will. You literally don't even have to think about it. So I put down here, don't change the tone, be the person who naturally uses that tone, all right? Again, like I said, these are like the starting point. You need to say some words to have a conversation and like actually get things going and stuff. And you can do things to kind of manipulate your tone in a certain way. But it will never be 100% congruent until eventually it gets to the point to where that's who you feel you actually are as a person, okay? When someone is congruent, when all these things are lined up and they're the exact same, that's what's called being congruent, okay? You truly feel confident, and so everything comes off in a confident way, no matter what you say or do, okay? Other words for congruent, you know, if you see someone, you're like, oh, they're really authentic, they're really genuine, he means what he says. What you see is what you get, okay? That's a person who's congruent. Like, what he says and how he says it is what he actually fucking means. Like, he doesn't try and play these little games, he doesn't try to come across as a thing he's not, okay? So those are all the kind of different levels. The path to get there is you start off with just the words, you do the words shitty, okay? Start out when you're approaching or doing whatever, just open them, hey, excuse me. You can go direct, hey, I thought you were really cute. You can do whatever, okay? Have a conversation, ask for the number on dates, all that other stuff. At first, just focus on the words, because you need to be at least doing something, taking some type of action. Then you can slowly, actively change the tone. And then also, from the feedback, you kind of naturally change your tone to more confident, more all this other stuff. And then eventually, you get to the point to where all this reference experience you get will change the core of who you are. And then, once it changes the core, it goes up, so then that changes how things come across and the actual words you say and the things you do. And then it's just like a feedback loop. It just keeps feeding itself.